What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I know you're excited to be here right now for the most jam-packed hour you have ever received in your life, filled with whole positivity, encouragement, inspiration, motivation, and elevation, baby. Woo! I'm excited. So I hope you guys are ready to receive all of this great energy. Pull up a chair, let down your hair, and unwind and de-stress yourselves and be ready to receive, because I'm excited for you, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Joseph JAFFE is not famous. Me, Tom Arnold, I am very famous. I absolutely like, because it's very true. Like, I hadn't freaking heard of you until I was sitting on a Friday night. This is how bad my life is. Listen, fucker, good luck. Good luck with your rebranding. Like anybody knew what the name was before. What was the name? Okay, who gives a shit? That's a good name, because it's got your name in it. You can pretend you're humble. You say, I'm not famous. And, which you aren't. So you're just, anyway, but I hope you get famous doing this. Good luck to you.
I just want you to know I practiced this word about 20 times to make sure that I did not mispronounce it.
I have a question. Has anyone ever said with all due respect and then not followed up with a zinger?
His side of the bed. If I come in and I'm on the other side, he will move it. Yeah, that's it.
Which side do you like? With all due respect, you make a good point.
Cheery Oreos! Toasted Oreos!
Mute. He's muted.
I love what he's saying. He doesn't need sounds.
You're so small, squishing your head, Joseph.
You can.
Do it with me, Joe.
With all due respect, you really do look handsome, Bruce. Cheery Oreos! Toasted Oreos!
Look at you. You are insane.
How did I do that?
You're
How did I do
insane.
that? You just made the intro reel. Yes, you did.
Well, actually, You're Insane is Mark Schaefer's voice. Gary and I were just talking about Mark in the background, and that painting behind me was painted by Mark Schaefer when I got sick. So a little shout out to the Rise coin. Together we rise. I feel like that is the mantra of this whole creator economy, and we're going to be discussing that in earnest. But first of all, let's say hello to Russell Eubanks, who is here. He said, let's go. And the exponential hero, Lubna Zarau. Lubna, the great, the famous Lubna, is here, as is one of our regulars, Manif. Manif, let me tell you, besides ragging me a little bit as well, Lubna likes the idea of Together We Rise. Manif has been an incredible supporter of the show. He bought JAFFE coin when JAFFE coin was probably about 34 cents. And let's just say it's worked out rather well for Manif. So Manif, I appreciate you, my friend, very much so. In fact, you know, this is an interesting day because Manif bought himself a sponsorship of the show, and we will talk about that. But this show tonight, being Tuesday, is sponsored by GTM Hub. This is actually the first week of an official sponsorship. It only took me about a year and a half to figure out how the hell to monetize this show. Well, we're going to be doing a bunch of things because monetization in this Web3 metaversian world is really a shared one. That QR code that you see that just appeared right now, that is your ticket to get a little bit of JAFFE coin. And remember, this QR code is only live when the show is live. So Tuesday, December 7th from 9 to 10, this QR code is live and you will be getting yourself some JAFFE coin. But let's go ahead and put our GTM Hub sponsorship logo up top and give them a little bit of love. Tom Morris is here. He said, I see some good books behind you too. Well, we're going to see the Clubhouse Creator behind me soon enough as well. Russell says Lubna is famous as well. So there's a lot of love going on in the back channel. It's not even the back channel, it's the front channel as well. So we welcome all of you and we appreciate all of you very much. Speaking of this idea of sponsorship and monetization, and the idea of buying a JAFFE NFT, which gives you access to pre-tapings, which gives you access to behind the scenes and cameos and a whole bunch of things. I actually did something which launched last week, which is the fact that I commissioned a cartoon. I commissioned a comic. And so I actually wrote it. I came up with a creative direction. And it's a little kid saying to his teacher, when I grow up, I want to be a miner. And the teacher is saying, oy vey, basically, this boy wants to work in a mine, in a coal mine. Clearly, he has no ambition. Clearly, he has no drive. But of course, the boy is thinking about being a crypto miner. And so you see him envisioning himself as a tycoon. And if you can read in the background, you will see BTC, you will see ETH. So you will see Bitcoin, you will see Ethereum, and you will see the JAFFE coin, a little bit of coin product placement as well. David Libby says, let's go as well. So what's really happening, though? Why is it an NFT? Because for $12, you can actually buy the rights to include this cartoon in a pitch deck, in an investor deck, on your website, in a keynote, and you own the rights to this cartoon, you and anyone else that mints one of these NFTs. But the real cool thing about this is that the creator behind this cartoon gets 50% of the proceeds. In fact, the creators do. I was the copywriter and creative director, and someone that I've never met before in my life on Fiverr is getting 50% of the royalties. They don't even know it yet. I haven't even told them, but hopefully maybe thousands of people go and mint this NFT, and this person is just going to get residual royalties, hopefully for the rest of their life. This is what happens. This is, Manif said, you didn't have to tell everyone. Well, it's a small, intimate gathering, Manif. We will reveal everything shortly. I was too excited to see you, ripping me off or ragging me as well. Manif, you're talking about buying my coin or buying the NFT? I just did it again. It's all good, my friend. Transparency and being able to share the love is what we're all about. So I just wanted to share this with you guys as well. I also want to share the fact that this week is a bumper week in terms of guests. Yesterday, Suzanne Kunkel, the CMO of Deloitte, was on the show. Tomorrow, Whitney Lauritsen. Whitney has a creator coin as part of the whole rally network. And then on Thursday, Glenn Lundy, Breakfast with Champions, Rise and Grind, will be on the show. What a great way to end this year, to end 2021, a year that definitely was not one of my best years health-wise. But of course, the show will resume again in January in our new time slot of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But enough about the show. Let's focus on the man behind the Clubhouse Creator. Let's focus on Gary Henderson. He is our guest tonight. We're going to be meeting him soon, just after the Seated Soliloquy, which tonight I told Gary that it would be very much connected to him. And one way that you can see it is connected to him is the use of a giraffe, but it is called not staying alive, but being alive. It's a thankless job being an innovator or early adopter. As was once told to me, there are two types of people, pioneers and settlers. The pioneers get shot and the settlers take the land. You, Joseph, are a pioneer. Thanks very much. Or how about the belief that entrepreneurs have to be complete masochists? Love the pain, thrive on the pain. Perhaps, but if you truly love pain, then is it really pain anymore? Or is it in fact pleasure? Any conversation about entrepreneurship involves the belief that failure is inextricably connected to the ethos of what it takes to persevere and ultimately succeed. Now, you'll hear VCs insist that any so-called entrepreneur worth their salt who has not failed multiple times today is just not an entrepreneur. Now, I think we all get it, especially the corporate bigwigs and executives. Everybody buys into this notion theoretically. But I'd like to rewrite the mantra that was handed down to me and has become a North Star of sorts to read. There are two types of people, those who talk about failure and those who have actually lived it. The talkers will always be on the outside in, and the walkers are the true visionaries. This is not an academic discussion. This is about as real and practical as life itself. Over the past years, I have lived a fever pitch of active experimentation with my crypto creator coin with this show. Even take the time from the original time of 12 p.m. to 12 noon to 9 p.m. and as of January 10th, 2022, our new time slot of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So does this mean that 9 p.m. was a failure? Well, if it makes you feel better, then sure. Only I absolutely intend to return to 9 p.m. at some point, or maybe it will be 10 or 11 p.m. or midnight, especially if CNBC or CNN or Apple TV Plus, my new owners, request it. Well, that, of course, is a manifestation of my goal, my stretch goal. People who are quick to label and write off a spark of an idea are often those who live to regret it. They are spectators at life, and they watch from their armchairs as life passes them by. In 2010, Laszlo Hansej spent 10,000 Bitcoins at a Papa John's to buy himself 2 pizzas. Back then, his Bitcoins were worth only $40. Today, that's $284 million per pizza. Enjoy the truffles and try not to choke on them. In a year where I have had unprecedented health challenges, I've never been so much alive. And I know, just like my guest tonight, Gary, or tonight's correspondent, Fanzo, the best is yet to come. Well, now, speaking of the best is yet to come, it's time to bring on Gary Henderson. And I'm just going to look at some of the comments as well. We've definitely got some giraffe lovers. Ida Aguilar is here. Thank you for everyone's comments. Let's talk and let me introduce Gary. Now, I got to tell you, when I asked him for a bio, the man, is so humble that he turned around and he said to me, just make something up. Or as Gary would say, if I'm doing my Gary impersonation, just make something up. And so I did. So here is what I made up. Gary Henderson is a vampire. Having roamed the earth for over 1,000 years, he's learned a thing or two about inbound funnels, personal branding, and passive income. Having an impressive client list, including Ivan the Terrible, Napoleon, the Queen of England, and Justin Bieber, he knows a thing or two about managing hockey stick growth. Oh, did I mention Wayne Gretzky is another satisfied client? In my career, I was never where the puck was, but rather skated to where the puck was going to be. Now that's a Gary Henderson original. As the owner of the Gary coin, he has soundly defeated his arch nemesis, Gary V, proving the power of first mover advantage. Okay, forget all of that. This part is actually true. Gary's new book, The Clubhouse Creator, launches today. In the book, Gary empowers readers to design a life of creative and financial abundance. His step-by-step guide to building a community that will show up and support you is a powerful tool for manifesting your true potential. Let's welcome him to the show, Gary Henderson. Sorry about the vampire reference. I do not know for a fact that you enjoy blood. But, you did ask for me to make it up, and so I did. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. That was probably the best bio I've ever had. And I've actually been to Dracula's castle in Bran in Romania. So it's kind of funny that you leaned into the vampire.
Wow, that is very interesting, and we will, when I said to you, in the back channel, I said I want to hear some fun facts about you, and you're like, well, everyone kind of knows these things about me, and I'm an open book, and I'm very transparent. How many people know that you visited Count Dracula, his castle?
I don't know. I share that a good bit, I guess. Now all of your audience knows that because you're definitely famous.
Yeah, and all of yours as well. Tom Morris says, the first big vampire novel, Dracula, turns out to be a great book on the power of partnership. True story, not the novel, this. And so, yeah, we find out we go down a certain vampire hole or rabbit hole. And Lubna said, I knew. So there you go. Nothing escapes you. Gary, we're going to get into, we did find some fun facts about you, but before we do that, one of the new things I've done actually with the show as I've evolved it is I used to always talk about this being National Whatever Day, and it would be just something I would do at the start of the show. Now I want to do it with my guest. So today is actually National Letter Writing Day. No, not the actual Constitution that was bought by Ken Griffin and not by the Dow. But I wanted to ask you this question, which is, if you could write a letter, to maybe yourself 10 years ago, what would you write? Or more importantly, what letter would you write today for yourself in 10 years' time? So whether you're looking backwards or looking forwards, if you had to actually put pen to paper, not even a digital, not even a text message, but actually write something, what would you write? Would it be advice to your former self, or would it be just crystallizing some tips or some insights to yourself in the future?
So that's a great question. First, let me say I'm gonna lean into a letter that I would write to my past self, and it would be really short. I don't like to write a lot. So it would be a really, really, really short letter. And it would be, choose you, but give 100%. And that would be all I would need to say, because the last 10 years or so, I spent choosing a lot of other people. And when I did choose me, I didn't give 100%, and I didn't give 100% in a lot of places. So giving 100% and realizing that, marriage and partnerships and business, it's 100. It's never 50-50. So realizing that and always going 100% and then choosing me. So you can choose anything, but choose me, choose the path that I want to take, choose the decision that I want to make, choose the thing that's right for me, choose me, put other people into consideration, but choose me. And that's what I would write.
I love that insight, and it actually does get into the fun facts that we had to scrounge around to find about you, because the first one, and I heard you actually talking about this in Clubhouse probably last week, which is this idea of not putting yourself first and going through life specifically, I think, with respect to your clients. So you've impacted over $250 million in online information sales, and doing it on behalf of clients. So I guess maybe this might be your new Clubhouse profile icon. But I think that was your life, right? You went and helped other people build their businesses, build their brands, and hadn't stopped or paused or thought about your own one.
Yeah, I spent years helping a lot of amazing people make a huge impact in the world. I mean, like one of my clients, her name was Andrea. She helped certify aromatherapists. Now, we grew this to like $6 million a year certifying aromatherapists, big business. And she impacted a ton of people because they got chemicals out of their house and their allergies were better and all these things. Like I even have cat allergies, and I would go to her house with her cats, no issues at all. It was magical. So I knew I was helping impact all of these people, and that kind of was my brand, but it just wasn't, it wasn't really me. I was having to be a conduit and share through other people's voices. I was planting the seeds. I was writing the copy for Jeff Walker for his ads. I was, filming the video for Lewis Howes, sending it to Lewis, and then he would refilm it for himself. It was just a different energy for me.
The funny thing is that I don't know. I personally, I've heard of Lewis Howes, but probably through you. But I haven't heard about these people, but I have heard about you. And the thing is that's so amazing is that you've chosen you, but you've done it as well with everyone else. You've lifted everyone up that is part of this community, and we'll get to that shortly. I think that's the beauty of where personal branding is going. It's not just about icons sitting in an ivory tower and everybody bowing down to the great thought leader. Maybe that is even the world that I came from before. Now it's like a democratization of personal branding. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that's happening.
It is. It's, it's funny that you mentioned that you hadn't heard of Lewis. A lot of people haven't. Now Lewis is a big name. Like, he's been on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I've never been on that show. His podcast, when I was working with him, had 300 million downloads. Like, that's a lot of downloads. New York Times best-selling author, like big name guy. But I would go ask people on the streets, like agency owners, people from previous lives that I knew. No one had ever heard of him. And that's a big driving force for me, because I thought in the world I was in that Lewis was the biggest deal. He was one of the biggest names. But it's a thought in abundance that the world is so much bigger than any one person. And there's so many people across the world that we can impact. And that's why it's like, I can go beat my message, and I can share my message, and I can share my message, but I can just keep sharing and sharing and sharing, because there are literally millions of people in the world. There are millions of creators. There's millions of people that want to make money. There's millions of people that need to hear the word. They need to hear the message. They need to hear the insights. They need to get the help. So, I just don't want to stop there. I don't want to stop at 12 or 15 or 50 or 100. I don't want to stop at 300 million downloads. There's more than that.
And look at these great comments. Russell says, great point. Gary wants all creators to win. And Lubna adds, and being surrounded by people who want to see you win is crucial. So we all lift each other up, but we'll get back to that. But here's another fun fact about you, which is, I guess you're a showrunner. Who knew that you were actually involved in creating a nationally televised sporting event on ESPN? It's perfect though, because you actually come across with that microphone, as someone who's like expert commentator as well. Tell us about this event.
Yeah, so it was 2007, maybe 5, something like that. I was the vice president of a company called Offense Defense Sports, and they ran football camps. And we needed to build this little ascension model. Well, we knew that our kids, our young kids, they wanted to go to the NFL. So we needed to build a path to help kids get there. So we released what we called a select camp, which I created, which was kind of the elite high school all-stars. And we created a nationally televised high school all-star game. Now, this was sponsored by Rivals.com. It was nationally televised on ESPNU. I coordinated the whole event. Yeah, it was insane. And Cam Newton, which still plays in the NFL, he was our MVP that year. So Chris Carter was one of our broadcasters. So you can watch Chris Carter on the NFL Network or basically anywhere that they talk about the NFL. Chris Carter and I then started tag teaming, helping our athletes. And Chris made a couple calls and got Cam his scholarship to Florida. And that was the first college he went to. So that all started at an event that I created, and we ran in Miami.
So you've done a lot, and I almost feel that you're the kind of person that is going to invent and reinvent as part of the consistency of what your brand is, which is you're always moving, you're never standing still. And yet, when we think about personal branding, there are certain things that are consistent. One of them is your profile picture. Is this iconic, the headset. So tell us about that part, right? With everything that changes, where you experiment. I mean, I got to say that you earned a tremendous amount of respect from me when you put out the giraffe, this incredible project, because you went out and those are my two giraffes. One of them you sent me, one of them I purchased. It's unbelievable that while everyone was talking about this stuff, you just did it. And you didn't just do a small one. You didn't just put out a comic, like I did. You put out this multi-faceted, multi-dimensional, multi-property, programs with an incredible amount of complexity. And that demonstrates the power of execution. So we'll talk about that, but I would love for you to tell us about the consistency of your headshot and your profile. What stays the same with your brand and what changes?
The headset, it's just good audio. So this is the same headset that Lewis uses. Everyone on the team, we all bought it. And what ended up happening is Lewis Howes used to use this headset for his podcast. And then people started to complain as he grew on YouTube. And they said, we don't like the headset because it's distracting in video. So he got rid of the headset and he went to the mic system and all this stuff. And then everybody complained and said, we don't like the audio quality because we like to actually hear you and we can't hear you good because we want a headset. So I decided, well, I like a headset. So I bought this. Now, I don't like pictures. So when I got on Clubhouse, it asked for a picture and I said, well, I don't know what to post. So I had just decided, I realized I don't really like podcasting too, but I just decided I was going to start a podcast. And I thought it would be really cool to take a selfie every day of my podcast. And that was that day's selfie. And it became my Clubhouse photo. Well, it just happened to become a little iconic and people started to think it was a helicopter. I don't know how, because it looked like I'm landing and all this weird stuff, but everybody just started to talk about it. And then it became quite popular to be like, oh, my name is Gary with the headset, or I'm, this person with this ring around. And everybody started to do these little gimmicks, and I never had to because everyone just knew Gary had the headset. So I just left it.
And it's funny because you actually, in the face of what's happening now, there are a lot of people changing their profile pics all the time to mirror an NFT. And what you've done is you've stabilized and you've kept it consistent. And I think that is always the power of understanding branding. Some things change all the time and some things never change. Pepsi changes all the time. Fast culture, Coca-Cola never changes. Optimism, happiness, etc. But one thing that the only change is, I would call increase, is the Gary coin. Eat your heart out, Gary V. Just kidding. But I want to show a few things to people that might not be aware. You have the Gary coin. I have the JAFFE coin. You have the Gary coin. The Gary coin is absolutely just rocking right now. Legs 22. You have the unbelievable giraffe tower. And I just love my giraffes. I mean, I'm really attached to them. You've created this thriving Discord community. It's just amazing to kind of watch all of this in action. And as of today, your book, The Clubhouse Creator, has been, let's show it there. There it is. Congratulations on that. Where do you want to go to? The floor is yours in terms of talking about the book, Discord, your coin, your NFT project. Maybe I'll ask you, what connects them all? What is the red thread that brings it all together?
Well, there's two pieces that are missed there. So I need to bring two pieces into the fold. We have the top 70, one of the top 75,000 websites on the internet. So digitalmarketing.org, we get over 50,000 organic search visitors per month. We rank on just about everything to do with influencer marketing, personal branding, Instagram. We're at the top of the charts there. And I have a SaaS. So we're a creative studio, and I'm a creative guy, and I never realized it. I never realized I was a creator. I thought I was a marketer. But what I always did was create. I'd create the idea. I would create the hook. I would create the launch. I would create the marketing funnel. I would create. And as I've evolved in my personal brand, I've learned that I love to create. I've got a programming background. So I have a co-founder and I have a SaaS, and we do some ninja stuff. Like I have screen overlays when I'm in Clubhouse. When I run a Clubhouse room, I'll put, I don't know, maybe 50 people in the room, and I'll have $100,000 worth of Gary coin in the room with me. I have a Discord server, and we've automated the entire thing. So we have shout outs when people buy coin. We announce every single hour when we get new rewards. So we gamified the whole system. So what I'm building, or what I am, the thread is I'm a creator, decentralizing my income and building the plan and the roadmap for every creator to follow after me. So I'm using Rally, and I'm using the creative tools, and I'm building the best case MVP I can for me. I'm setting at the top of the charts. I think today I'm like number, I don't know, top 10 market cap on Rally, but setting at the top of the charts and building everything that I need. I mean, we just built a leaderboard for our coin. It's public. So now we have our top 100 on the leaderboard of who owns our coin. The top 10 get a gift from me from the holidays with a signed copy of my book. They're competing to get in the top 10 and buying more coin because they don't want to drop out of the top 10. I'm just building a roadmap for every other creator to be able to follow.
I love that. I love the fact that, there is gamification, because guess what? Our behavior, I think, as human beings is naturally a gamified one. Whether it's, competition is the ultimate version of gamification. Wanting to stand out, wanting to be validated, wanting to be acknowledged. And you just constantly are iterating to find new ways to recognize and reward people for their engagement, their contribution, their support. And so by all those definitions, you are a creator.
Yeah, I feel a lot. So I spent, you mentioned the Draft Tower. I spent about 45 days and over $100,000 buying other NFTs. Just buying and buying and buying and buying, entering communities, buying a mutant, buying anonymized, buying lazy lions and sappy seals, and buying projects that never took off and projects that I made a ton of money on, just buying and buying. And I did it all because I wanted to feel what it felt like to buy into the community. I wanted to see what it felt like when I joined the Discord server. I wanted to see what it felt like when I verified my NFT and I went into the private channels. I wanted to see what the utility felt like. I wanted to see what it felt like when I sold. Like I remember I sold an NFT, and I shouldn't have sold it. It was priced way high. It just randomly sold one night. The community messaged me and said, "Great sale. I hope you're going back to buy more." It didn't feel good. I didn't buy anymore. So I just went out and felt all of these feelings and then tried to figure out how I could create them for my community, because I knew what I wanted my community to feel like. I actually, when I sold my first giraffe, very number one, it sold to Ken. He bought the number one draft pick. And at the time that Ken bought it, he bought it for 750 Gary coin. And at that time, it was about $15,000. I had never bought a profile photo or an NFT that was $15,000 before, and I felt very, very, very guilty. And I immediately went out and bought a gutter cat. Now I'm about 2.5 ETH upside down in my gutter cat, and that's okay. But I bought it because I needed to feel what Ken felt, because I didn't feel it. I'd never paid that much money for a profile photo. So that's all I've done, is I've tried to figure out how can I replicate the feelings that I enjoyed as I was a community member in someone else's community.
I have to tell you that I actually got a chill there. I got goosebumps when you said I needed to feel. And I actually felt quite emotional about that statement, because, one of the things that I'll often tell people is, if you want to understand change, if you want to understand all of this, you have to be a part of it. You have to live it. But I've never heard it expressed in terms of the emotions, the feeling, the feeling of of success and failure, of joy and triumph. You know, sometimes landing a rare NFT, but also, you know, the feeling of being scammed. I was just scammed a couple weeks ago. I felt dirty. I felt used. I felt awful. But I also felt like, you know what? I'm emerging now out of this. The phoenix rises out of the ashes. I'm smarter for it. And now I know something that somebody else who's never been scammed does know. And with that wisdom and experience and resilience comes something that I can share with others. So that insight I needed to feel, it's a very, very powerful statement.
Yeah, and I shared it every morning. So I host a coffee in my Discord server every morning around 5 a.m. East Coast time for all of my supporters. And every single morning, I would show up to coffee and I would share what I felt the day before, what it felt like. This is what this felt like. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going to try to create for us. And as I did that, and I just openly, transparently built inside of my small community, they showed up and supported because they knew what it was going to feel like. And then they shared the moments when we would sell out, you know, in 10 seconds. They shared what it felt like when they missed it. They helped each other. They pooled their resources together to sell out the entire collection. We bridged an amazing bond in our community through this NFT launch because I knew what I wanted it to feel like. I wanted it to feel like a community, and we weren't quite there yet.
We bridged an amazing bond. And I think the thing is, for anybody that doesn't feel and, you know, or think, as opposed to feel, that this world now, this new decentralized Web3 world doesn't involve a lot of emotion, it's because they're probably not even in it themselves, and they don't understand what really is happening. You know, and that's why someone like Manif is so important to me, and I feel so close to him because he was actually a founder that I was mentoring at the Founders Institute. And I always say when I do it, like, hey, I have a show, come check it out. But most people don't. He did, and he stuck around, and he got access to me, and we've continued to build a relationship. But now the relationship has changed, where it's not just one way. For the first time, he is now not only giving to me, but he's giving back to me. And the whole dynamic not only has shifted, but has just gone to the next level. And I think that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, it's this relationship, right? It's the creator and the supporter, and you're supporting each other and you're winning together, and it's building this bond, and it's a weird bond because it's a one-to-one, but a one-to-many, but also a many-to-many. It's all these weird little dynamics of a relationship in one, because you could be like right now, you and I are having a conversation, and there's tons of people that get to watch us and experience this conversation. They're building a relationship with us, but we don't get to build a relationship with them right now. They just get to, they're empathizing with us. They're feeling what we're feeling. They're laughing with us. They're probably laughing at the vampire jokes from the beginning. Like they're following along with us, but they're building a relationship. We don't know who they are. So then all of a sudden, you know, like we'd watch television, right? Or we'd watch sports, and we'd call people by their first names. People start to do that for you. People start to, I saw it with Lewis. I saw it very intimately behind the scenes. They felt they knew Lewis, his biggest fans and his biggest supporters. So now, you know, Jaffe, you and I, right? We have a creator coin, we have NFTs, we have this new Web3 environment to where they do know us, and they have a way to show us they're a big supporter. They have a way to show up in a big way. You know, when we were talking about Mark at the beginning of the show, you were, and I went in and bought $3,500 worth of his coin in one fell swoop. Just one big shot. And then I sponsored his podcast. Like, that's for me to say, hey, you've got a really cool blog. I don't know you, but I bet you if I do this, and you know what he did? He sent me a personal email and introduced himself. Now, Mark's a pretty popular guy. I didn't know him from Adam. I just went and spent $3,500 and bought his coin. I got on his radar in a hurry, though. That's what's enabled right now. Like, it's fast path.
I love that idea, you know, and By the way, this idea, well, I'm going to have to say it in my South African accent, which is a fast path, as opposed to a fast path or a fast path. But it's actually a fast pass, and it's a fast path as well. But you know, in the early days of blogging, it was the spark was there, and the spark was you commented on someone's blog. And then you commented again, and eventually you became a regular. Steve Garfield on the show talking about how he kept on messaging Jimmy Fallon to the point where Jimmy Fallon knew of him and knew him. This is what's happening as well. And it isn't an anomaly, right? It isn't a one-off. It is absolutely the new operating code. It is the new oxygen of community. It is an inclusive, shared community that is just super, super powerful.
Yeah, and I win together. I mean, I own a chunk of his coin. I sponsor his podcast. I own your coin. Like, the more you win, the more I win. Like, we're all in this together. We help each other. We support each other. Like, I want to get a backlink to Mark's website on my website. I've got a .org that's a domain rank of 72. Like, that would help him some. Like, it's just, and now I feel like I'm like, man, I'm really invested in where Mark's going, and I want to see him win even more because I'm a big supporter. I'm a big fan. It's a way to show it.
That's great. And by the way, Mark Schaefer, who is, you know, a friend of mine as well, he got essentially by proxy a sponsorship of this show tonight as well, which is awesome, as did GTM Hub. That's the point. We all win together. Now, someone who I think is a winner is our correspondent, Brian Fanzo, Social Fans. And, you know, I mean, we the three of us, I think, feel this certain kinship. But Brian is our correspondent, our crypto correspondent. He sent in this vignette or this video today. I obviously haven't seen it yet. But we're going to just play that, and then you and I can comment on it. So here's Fanzo.
What's up, friends? Brian Fanzo here. And apparently it is book launch day. Big shout out to Mr. Gary Henderson on book launch day. But yeah, we're talking coins. Well, actually, why don't we talk coins in person real? I mean, there's no reason to do this tape delay, right, right, JAFFE? What do you say?
Wait, what? But this is a video.
That's... We had to jump in live. Gary Henderson's on book launch day. I come in and celebrate.
Wait, you did it again? You hijacked my show live again?
Yeah, that's like twice in a week period. So be careful there, my friend.
So yeah, Fanzo is live, surprising you, Gary, as well.
That's really cool.
here to congratulate you on your launch. So I think we might have to change the sponsorship now. So we'll put the Clubhouse Creator as the sponsor of the show. But Fanzo, we're going to give you the floor to send in and share your vignette on crypto, and then Gary and I will comment on it. So take it away.
No, yeah. So I think for me, it's pretty easy to kind of throw in this idea of community, right? And I know Gary and Joseph, I'm thankful to be a part of both of their communities and think of them both as, really close friends of mine. And I think when we look at things in Web3, from crypto to creator coins to, we have the whole gamut of metaverse and all of the things, and NFTs. I forgot that minor NFT one. That we have all those things kind of in play. But I think the thing that is really the thread across where we are going with Web3 is the idea of community. And community, for that overall arching purpose, is the idea of bringing together people, not because of the people that they know, rather because we have a shared purpose and a common passion for a certain outcome. And I think when we start thinking of what does crypto enable, and it enables this decentralization of the way that we share value and money, the way that we're able to exchange things in a digital way that we never would have with the current currency. We have NFTs that are allowing us to add value and utility at a layer below that really kind of connects a community. Of course, we have creator coins like JAFFE coin, or Gary coin, or my ADHD coin, where we're able to reward a community and bring a community along with us on the journey. It's no longer about just one person succeeding and not being able to bring those others up. And then, of course, even the metaverse, the idea that we shouldn't feel alone no matter where we are in the world. And as long as you have an internet connection and you're connected to the metaverse, we'll be able to create some experiences within a community that really have been unheard of in this digital age. And so really that's my point here on this one, is that it's really, for me, I think the future of business is community. And I think Web3 is redefining that for all of us. And I know both of you as amazing community leaders yourselves are spitting examples of that. And I think for those that haven't been touched with community yet or are still kind of figuring it out, Web3, where we are going, is going to change your entire world. So that's what I got for you today, JAFFE.
Awesome. Well, I won't even comment on it. I'll let Gary comment on it.
I couldn't agree more. I just thought though, like Web3, is there going to be is there really a Web4? Or is it WWW? There was 3 W's. Or is this where we end? But it is community. It's what we've been yearning for. It's what we've been desiring. It's what we've tried to build so many times. And now it's starting to come to life. In a time where we spent way more time isolated, way more time at home, I feel so connected. Like Fanzo, you and I talk all the time. We spend time together. I was in a room the other night on Clubhouse, and they said, what would happen if there was an apartment in the metaverse and I had a party tonight and we all came to the party in the metaverse and all my NFTs were hanging on the wall and there was a cool DJ and we were all in our own houses. We were all safe at home, but yet we were all together. And I think that's where we're headed.
Love it. Love it. I mean, and that's really what these live video shows do. Clubhouse has done that for all of us. And I think the metaverse and this future is going to reinvent that at another level, right? And I think that's kind of the beauty. So JAFFE, I'll be done taking over the show just for this episode. There'll be future ones that I'll have to jump in and take over as well. But thanks for having me in. And Gary, congrats on the book. Can't wait to have my copy. My copies are ordered, so they should be arriving hopefully today, and I'll be up on my bookshelf as well. So cheers, my friends.
Cheers, Fanzo. And I will be going on my walk with my dog, and it is a daily ritual now, which is my walk with my dog and NFT 365 in my ears. I do not miss an episode, and I'm learning all the time. So keep going.
Thank you. Yeah, 22 days in a row so far, 25 days in a row so far. So NFT 365. It's a daily podcast on NFTs and all this fun stuff. So I appreciate the listenership. And Jeff, you even messaged me the one day and were like, hey, is this coming out later? I'm going to miss, you watched a live show you didn't want to watch. So I appreciate the love.
I'm going to send you my dog walking schedule. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this book launch day.
Of course. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Fanzo.
So Gary, I absolutely loved this idea of WWW representing, Web3, and maybe in this case there doesn't have to be a Web4 because we're at a point now where maybe the web is finally, because in many respects the 3 C's of Web 1.0 were content, commerce, and community. But the reality is we didn't really deliver on community until now. So I think that's a fantastic insight.
And we only delivered on commerce a little bit because we didn't deliver on digital commerce the way we should. With the metaverse and with being able to have NFT wearables, we're going to I think we're going to go to an augmented reality place in the future where we're going to both wear our black shirts because they're easy or our dark shirts. But yet, if we wanted to have a real cool ball and outfit on in the metaverse, we would. And we would spend our money digitally for digital goods rather than buying physical goods that will deteriorate, depreciate, all these bad things in the world. We'll buy digital goods that'll just last forever, be easily tradable, be easily swappable. I think that's where we're headed, and that's where digital commerce is going to go in the future as well.
Yeah, and I want to also add one thing as well, which is I was very active in Second Life back in the day and did a lot of things that now I see coming to pass with the metaverse. But there's something as well that even as someone who writes about this stuff, there's AR, augmented reality, there's VR, which is virtual reality, and then there's something called MR, which is mixed reality. And I think people don't realize yet how important MR is going to be. where we can actually create these hybrid solutions where you may very well have physical people and have virtual manifestations together at the same time. That's when it's going to get really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, imagine like you put a couple people at a conference, a handful of people, and everybody else is there and they're experiencing it. Like, it's just, it's the pathways are open for global commerce. The pathways are open for global business in such a big way, global relationships that have never existed before.
Yeah. So Manif says, I'll need a lot of grounding after this episode. And David says, by the way, even if you don't have a dog, walk the dog every day for 30 minutes. But let me tell you, what if the dog is virtual and you are real? So just to like continue to like mess with your mind. I'd like to spend the last segment of the show today talking about your book. And this is an opportunity where, you know, we get to really celebrate you and celebrate what the book is about. So I'm going to give you the floor for a moment, and I would love for you to tell us about, you know, why you wrote this book, what this book means to you. When I first heard about it, Clubhouse was absolutely, stratospheric hockey stick growth. Now the book is out, and it almost seems, if I may say so and be a little bit mischievous and meddlesome, that Clubhouse needs to read this book themselves and learn from it. But talk a little bit about what the spark was behind it. And then the second point, Gary, like a little bit of context in terms of where Clubhouse is now, where the book is now, because I tend to just get a feeling that the book is a little bit ahead of Clubhouse, even, if that may be said.
Yeah, great questions. Writing a book on a beta app is tough. First off, I've got to give a ton of credit to Melinda Cross. She was my collaborative writer. I couldn't have done it without her. I like to talk. Melinda and I just had conversations just like you and I are, and Melinda helped me put together an insanely good book. It was a challenge, though. So I worked with Hay House, amazing publishing company, and I wanted to write a book that wasn't tactical. They wanted a guidebook. They wanted a how-to Clubhouse. I didn't want to write a how-to Clubhouse book. That wasn't my plan. That wasn't my intention. My plan was to write a strategy book on building connections and relationships using social audio. And my app of choice was Clubhouse. So we wrote a book, and we kind of nervous. So the book's in two parts, and I've got my copy here. Our first part we go through is, hold on, here we go. Community is the new currency. So we talk about community. Fanzo just talked about community. You and I just talked about Web3 and community. So we spend the whole first half of the book talking about building a community. And then we go into the second half of the book and we talk about the coaching funnel, basically, how to monetize it, how to drive energy out of there. So what I wrote is I wrote a book on building relationships in a small environment. Now that environment could be Clubhouse, on a stage in Clubhouse, or it could be a mastermind. It could be a small meeting. It could be a networking event, but it's a relationship book. And you ask about like where Clubhouse is. Now, I spent hours on Clubhouse. I went through this journey of, my first month on Clubhouse, I made 6 figures cash received. January of 2026 or 2021, 6 figures, documented in a Business Insider article. I needed to make money because I had to write a book. And then I went through and I started to say, okay, well, what other little activities do people need to do in order to make money off of Clubhouse? But I knew Clubhouse was going to evolve. If you look at a company like Patreon, they only have 200,000 creators. I knew everybody was going to try it. I knew everybody was going to come in and try to start a room. I knew everybody was going to start to go or cluster around certain creators. And I knew eventually it would all spread out. And that's what's happening now. We're kind of in this spread out. So we had this time where everybody was there. Well, we actually started where there was only a handful of rooms. And then everybody was there, right? Everybody. And then now everybody's on a couple of stages. We only have a couple of key creators in the segments that I'm in, the business segments, that are creating consistent content. And now when those couple creators are live, all the speakers, you get 100 speakers on their stage, right? It's their fan club. It's their hype team. It's the people that are there to support them. What will happen next is we'll start to see everybody spread out, because they'll realize, and we saw this before, they'll realize that you can't you can't make money, you can't build an audience, you can't build relationships when you're sitting on a stage and you're not talking. It just doesn't work. You have to have conversations. You have to be a creator. You have to be a collaborator. You actually have to use your voice. So they'll get bored and they'll either leave and say Clubhouse doesn't work, or they'll go hit the button and they'll create their own room. And when they do, somebody will stop in and have a conversation with them, just like you and I do today. And they'll build a relationship and they'll realize all Clubhouse is a relationship app. And I'm just meeting another human and meeting them where they are and I am. It's actually a version of the metaverse. And we're just having conversations just like we were in the same room, but we're not. And when they realize that, then we're going to see this nice little spread out. We're going to see Clubhouse build its own creators. And we're going to see a hell of a lot of money come into that platform. I mean, JAFFE, I'll run rooms with 40 or 50 people in it, and I've got 100, $75, $100, $125,000 worth of Gary coin in that room with only 50 people in it. So imagine what's going to happen in 6 months or 2 years or 3 years. And then let's just imagine that it all goes away, because everything will. MySpace went away, Facebook kind of goes away. Everything's going to go away. And if it does, that's okay. Because my goal the whole time, we talked at the beginning and you said you'd never heard Lewis Howell's name. My goal is very clear. Gary Henderson, I want it to be a household name. So every person that I talk to, every person that I meet, every experience I get to have with someone, if they remember me, they'll find another place to find me, because there'll be another something. If Clubhouse disappears, or if Twitter disappears, or if Instagram disappears, there'll be something else and I'll be there too.
Well, and you own the name Gary. I mean, there is a Gary V, but he's Gary V. You take away the V, there is no Gary V. There is just Gary Henderson. I'm just, teasing a little bit, but you really have done that. And, the thing about you, by the way, David says, hey, Clubhouse works. I've made so many valuable connections. Thank you, Gary. And Lubna says Clubhouse works when you work. The thing about you that at first it took getting used to, even for me, is that you are so transparent and you share and you share the numbers. And then I realized most people don't do that. Most people don't. Almost nobody does that. And what I realized very soon as I got to know you is that it wasn't bragging. If anything, it's actually quite incredible to share. I could not do that. I could never do that and share my numbers. There's an insecurity there. But I think what you've done is you've really showed other people this can be done and you can do this just like me, and I'll help you. And that is the message. That's why people remember the name Gary.
Well, I show people with 50 people in my room, look at the amount of money that's in my room. With 1,300 supporters of Gary coin, look at the fact that we're a number 10 market cap coin on Rally. So look at my numbers. They're not that big. Like, really, I have 3,100-ish people in my Discord server. They're not that big. Anyone can accomplish this. So the reason why I share it, and I share it so transparently, is I want people to take the journey with me. I want people to realize quickly and easily, I'm just like Gary. I can go do this too. I can go start a 1-hour Clubhouse room a day, and I can go build my community, and I can go build my brand. I can do it just like Gary, or just like JAFFE, or just like Fanzo. I can do it just like Russell or Lubna. Any of us, we're all capable of doing it, because I'm just Gary and you're just Joseph and he's just Fanzo and that's just Lubna, and we're all just ourselves. And if we're just that, man, there's plenty to go around for us all.
Right. I found this quote. I always find one quote for my guests, and this is what I found for you, which is, it takes a special kind of stubbornness to succeed as an entrepreneur. And this is Sophia Amoruso. And for those of you that don't know, she's the outspoken founder of apparel retailer Nasty Girl. I love this idea because sometimes we think about the idea of being selfish as a bad thing. But actually, when we think about self-care, it's a very good thing. We think about stubbornness as a bad thing. But actually, if we think about it in terms of being consistent and disciplined and staying the course, it can be a really good thing. And so I guess the best compliment I can pay you, Gary, is continue to be as stubborn as you are, with your drive, your will to succeed, and to help everyone around you succeed with you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. It's, you said when we were in the green room right before the show started. You said it's fun. And I didn't imagine how fun it was going to be, but this has been an absolute blast. You did not let down. This was super, super fun.
And let me tell you, there was a lot of pressure as well to have you on the show and do justice, you know, because they always say, like, as a keynoter, I've spoken in front of 1,500 people and not be nervous at all. But you put my mother in the crowd, or my wife in the crowd, or a kid in the crowd, or a friend in the crowd, and I am sweating sweating bullets as well, because you want to impress the people that you care the most about. So it means a lot to me. This has been Gary Henderson, the Clubhouse Creator. And just a reminder, you can follow him on Instagram, follow him on Twitter. But really the places that you want to, double down is in Clubhouse. Join the Gary Club, become part of this Discord server. Immerse yourself. This isn't a rabbit hole, or if it is, it's one that you absolutely want to dive into head first, because as Lubna said, it works when you work and you all do it together. And most importantly, today being launch day, go and buy the Clubhouse Creator, build your audience, deepen relationships, and accelerate success in the creator economy at clubhousecreator.com. I have one more thing for you, maybe two more things. But first of all, you have, and you are innovating with respect to this book. This is not just a buy a book. Tell us about some of the things that you're doing and embedding into the actual sale of this book.
Yeah, so Reed Tracy is the CEO of Hay House, and he's a friend of mine. I met him through Jeff Walker's mastermind, and he taught me something years ago. He said, Gary, if you want to get a lot of people to buy your book, you got to do one thing. I said, okay, what's that, Reed? He said, you got to get people to read the book. So I put together 3 bonuses that actually encourage you to consume the content inside the book. See, I don't love to read. So we did it on Kindle, we did it on Audible. I read the book, and we did it the physical copy. So you grab any 3 of those copies, and I'm going to give you 3 bonuses. I'm going to give you an NFT, and that NFT is going to do a couple of things. It's going to get you private access in that Discord server to a private channel talking all about the book, The Clubhouse Creator. And then I'm going to give you access to 100+ hours of coaching. See, Clubhouse has replays live right now, but they haven't been live for a long time. They just came live. I've been recording my content for months and months and months. So while I was writing the book, while I was working through all this, while Clubhouse was growing, I've recorded over 100 hours of content. So I'm going to give you access to all of that. Many people pay $20 a month, but you won't, because you grab the book. So that NFT will unlock that. And then I know you're going to have questions. So when you come into Clubhouse, we wrote some technology. I shared that we're a creative studio. We have technology that gates Clubhouse stages, meaning when you raise your hand to come up on stage, it's going to check your wallet and see if you own that NFT. And if you do, you'll get an instant invitation to come up on stage. You'll bypass the queue. You'll get direct access to me to ask questions or shout out your club or showcase yourself as a creator. So 3 really cool bonuses just for grabbing 1 copy of that book.
You've democratized the stage, whereas, in Web 1.0 and Web 2.0, it was still about one-to-many. It was about the keynote. Now, even in the early days of Clubhouse, you had many people on stage, but it was kind of a little bit of a secret society. It was, an insider stage, but you've created a very much an inclusive stage as well. David Libby says Joseph isn't famous but does rock. Lubna says this was great, and Glenn says thanks, Joseph. Well, thank you guys. Manif says well done, you guys. Really, it's easy to do what I do when you have someone like Gary who just exudes and oozes the spirit of what it is to be a creator. So Gary, thank you so much. Good luck with the book. And if you've watched the show, by the way, this show was brought to you by GTM Hub. All week, the show is being brought to you by GTM Hub. But at the end of the show, we go to Chuck Norris, and we ask Chuck Norris, what did he think of the guest? What does he think about Giraffe Tower? What does he think about the Clubhouse Creator? What does he think about the Gary Coin and the Gary Club? And this is what Chuck Norris had to say.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
There you go. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.